Hey, what's up, everybody? Matt Aguilar here, and I am here with producer Peter, and we're here to talk about Star Wars Unlimited Shadows of the Galaxy. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to reveal some new Shadows of the Galaxy cards.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard, we have the chance to preview two new cards from the very anticipated upcoming set. I don't know about you, but I'm just excited to like get to where I can open up packs of cards again.
Yeah,
I'm very
exactly. Some
much
availability. Nice.
I'm very much missing that. So I'm very excited for this. Let's get into it. Let's start with the first one. The main man, Chewbacca, is the unit. Look at this: 8 cost beauty, 4 attack, 10 health. My word! And one of the themes here, as the title might have clued you in on, is Wookiees. Wookiees are a big focus. They were one of the things in the first set that was kind of like, man, we need more of those to like really take advantage of some things. And this set is going to have tons of that. We're also going to have the new mechanics and keywords in play. As you can see here, Chewbacca has grit. But then he's also got a great kind of takedown-ish ability here. You may defeat a unit with 5 or less remaining. Yeah. And then Smuggle. He's going to be one of the cards that has number one comes with the new Smuggle feature, but then also can come in red as opposed to blue when he is smuggled in.
Which is nice. Because I don't know if I think he's amazing in a Wookiee deck. I don't know if you would play him in a red deck, even with a smuggle. But I will say it's also crazy. This is the first Chewbacca that doesn't have Sentinel.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because you can just play him with the Chewbacca leader who will give him Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 410 with grit is crazy good. Like that's.
I saw the 10 and I lost my mind a little bit. It's like, no way. He's just got that out of the gate.
And he's an 8 cost, which is a lot. And blue decks don't tend to like. We'll talk about it when we go over the other Wookiee cards in a minute. But these Wookiees want to be played blue-yellow. Like they're a blue-yellow deck all the way through. So you don't get that much ramp with no green, but we don't know what all the cards are coming out yet, obviously.
Right.
So maybe yellow or like maybe Cunning or Heroic will get something to ramp it up. But we've also seen control decks don't really need ramp currently. And man, if you want to play, and we'll talk about that in a minute, if you want to play like a Wookiee, like Sentinel control deck, like you can do some damage and you will get to that 8 cost drop turn like no problem, especially with Chewbacca out here just soaking up damage and just getting stronger and stronger. And when you play him next to himself, like on turn 5, you pop your 7 cost Chewbacca leader, and on turn 8, you pop this Chewbacca, and they just sit next to each other, and you have to choose which one to make stronger every time you attack. It's gross.
Yeah, there's just so many possibilities. And I will say, though, because you're right, I saw the red, and I went, oh, that's interesting. And I was trying to immediately think, like, okay, I do have my Chirrut deck, right, that I have made. And by the way, at recommendation, it is so fun.
Chirrut deck's great. I thought about this in Chirrut too, but yeah, he's hopefully won the game by this turn.
Right, exactly. Like
by like the 7th turn, he hopes to have won the game.
Yeah, there are a few times I have found myself on that far end. And so it would be nice to know, especially, look, especially with the way Smuggle works, right? Like having it in your resource and then being able to use that as a resource to pay for itself. Like that's a great, like if you're going to have this with red, I think that is a really cool way to have it there.
Yeah.
And it also can sneak up on people. And man, if you were to make it to those far turns and you pull this sucker out of your resource and go, I just smuggled him in, that would be insane. And that also leads us to our second big reveal, which is an event card, Let the Wookiee Win. Probably, one of the most fun titles in the new series. This one reminds me a lot of the I Am Your Father option card, which gives you that option of like the one that no one ever accepts, which is the take 7 damage thing. This one is like you can
times.
Have you really?
Like, I will not give my opponent 3. I'll kill a guy because it's 7 damage to 1 target. I'll just kill a guy. I don't care. I'm not gonna give the card advantage is so huge, but even then, like it's basically a kill card. But the cool thing is this is cheaper. This is a 2 and it's a trick, which is not. I mean, honestly, you're probably not gonna play it in the villainy decks. You can get the. But if you actually like, and I don't know why you would ever play Wookiees in villainy, but if for some crazy reason you wanted to, you would get a discount. But like this being a 2 cost event card in a Wookiee deck is so good because now, as we will go through the other Wookiee cards in a second, but like this, if you want to, your 2-drops in your Wookiee decks can be Let the Wookiee Win, which is an amazing card when you have
it's a great card.
potentially 20 plus Wookiee cards in your deck. And your other one can be Spark of the Rebellion, another 2-drop, same cost. And so first turn, you're just like, well, either I, hopefully I draw into my Spark and I just pick something important out of their hand, or worst case, later in the game, this is a game winner. Even if you don't have Wookiees, it's like, do you really want your opponent to ready a friendly unit like for 2?
Right.
You really don't.
Exactly. And then if you do give them the other, readying up to 6 resources is nuts.
Oh, it's insane. Like late game, this and Spark of the Rebellion have like the benefit of being the rare 2-cost card that is good early game and good late game. Like there is no bad time to draw.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like if you draw like a 2 or 3 late game, a lot of times you're like, no, what am I going to do with this Super Laser Technician now? Like just kind of a dead card to bury. But this is late game. This could win the game. Like play it on a damaged Chewbacca. And you're like, oh, do you want me to play a whole other like 6 resources worth of cards? Or do you want to take like a potentially like POW, like a 10 hit point swing? Like, because that's a terrible choice either way. I think this is in the Wookiee deck. This is a worse choice to have to make than I'm Your Father. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think this is a lose-lose and a win-win for the player. In that one, I always go, I would rather, and typically when that card gets pulled, and I've faced times where like there's multiples of that card pulled, right? And it's like, okay, I'll just take I don't want to take 7 damage because depending on when it comes in, it can really wreck your strategy and stuff. So it's like, I'll just let you take 3 cards. They both hurt. This though, this is like, and the fact that it's so cheap is what really hits.
Yeah. Even if you're not playing Wookiees, you probably still want to consider taking this because like worst case scenario, 2 to ready a unit isn't bad. Like it's sort of like Rallying Cry gets multiple people, but they have to be very weak. Late game, readying a unit, like it's huge. Like I'm gonna attack twice with my Han. My 6 damage Han's just gonna like wipe you. And you're gonna have to let me get 6 resources to play something else. And that's crazy. But like in a Wookiee deck, it's phenomenal. And I think here, let's take a look at the crazy synergies these 2 things bring. So basically what we're saying, like at this point in time in Shadows of the Galaxy, you can now create what we think will be a strong, fully viable Wookiee deck in blue-yellow. And it's going to have some really good synergy. So we all know Chewbacca Leader comes out. He makes stuff into Sentinels, which is great because almost all of these Wookiee cards we're going to show you have grit. In fact, I believe they all do. So like, let's take a look. You've got the Tree Tender, just classic. This is basically the speeder bike for non-villainy. It's honestly, you'd probably play this in Krennic too because it has grit and it's a 2/4 and it's a 3 cost. Like it might actually see play in Krennic decks. But this is great. I mean, early easy drop for Chewbacca now, who always struggled to have some like, what did you put in those early slots when the only other Chewbacca Wookiee card was a 5? You throw a Tree Tender in there, or you can throw in the Fugitive Wookiee as your 2-drop, and sure, he has a bounty. The bounty's rough, but normally for a 3/3 for 2, that's a pretty acceptable risk.
Yeah.
To just exhaust a unit. But that's amazingly good. That's early power. It's a Battlefield Marine with a penalty, but it's also just solo yellow, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's another just great draw for Chewbacca. Wookiee Warrior, super good. Wookiee Warrior makes this deck hum mid-game. Like, how do you get through that mid-game to that late-game Chewbacca double drop? You just draw cards from playing all your Wookiees. And it's a 2/5 with grit, so it loves getting that Sentinel tag from Chewbacca the turns it comes out. It can take the damage. It's another good target for Let the Wookiee Win because it's going to have damage on it at some point. It's just so good. And
then you get that great bonus right out the gate.
Yeah, such a good, when played, just draw a card, because you're going to have some cheap Wookiees to play before it. And it makes it good. It's another card where if you get it late, it's fine because it gives you another card. like finding those mid-range cards and early game cards that play good late is hard, and this one plays well late. And then the last one, and one of the craziest cards in this entire set, is Tarfool.
He's amazing.
This is a ridiculously good card, and this is probably like turn 7 in your Chewbacca deck. Now you get to play Tarfool and you get to flip Chewbacca. That's what a wild turn that is. And at that point, if you have a Let the Wookiee Win in your hand for next turn, I don't know what your opponent's supposed to do.
Yeah, because that just the retaliation aspect of this.
It's disgusting. And imagine it on yellow Chewbacca. So now yellow Chewbacca, when you attack him, damages you back twice and stands. So it's like, oh, you hit me, I take damage. You take the 3 from me. I take all the damage you just did to me. I have Sentinel, so you have to attack me. Then I stand again. Like that's pretty
and I just love
board control.
The versatility too in, like 2 of these cards. I love that they can go in any hero deck. Like the fact that they're not tied to a specific color aspect is huge. I mean, what deck can you tell me that this wouldn't help you in some form or fashion? Even if you don't have any other Wookiees, in your deck, like this card, other ones can still help. So like all around, they're good as individual cards. Obviously they work better as a team.
Yeah. Tarfool is like a 5 by himself and like a 9 or a 10 in a Wookiee deck. Because Restore 2 is always the only problem with Tarfool is that in any deck with blue, Luke's better. You would just play Luke at the 7-drop. But if you just need, like, there are some decks that aren't playing blue that want Restore, and he's a viable 7-drop choice because we're not. Besides, like Han, we're kind of like for the Heroic has some weird 7-drop choices if they don't want to play blue specifically. Like there's not a you're stuck with like Mace or Han currently, who are both sort of like Han's amazing, and Mace is interesting and like good.
You don't love Mace?
Oh, I like Mace, but I find that most of the times he pops out, he'll ambush, he'll kill something. The fact that he doesn't come in, like I think he's really good in Luke decks if you're playing Luke aggro, but I don't think Luke aggro is amazing because I think if Mace gets a shield, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Because the problem is he kills one and then he probably trades. And so you're paying 7 to kill 2 guys, which can be good, but there are also times that he can't trade into leaders for the most part. He doesn't do quite enough damage. He should probably have been a 6 damage and lost 1 health is my thing with me. But anyway, Tarfool in a Wookiee deck is like the centerpiece of your Wookiee deck now. And on that 5th turn, when Chewbacca comes out and Tarfool comes out, and now not only do you have Sentinel, but you've got Restore on the board, I think your 8 drops in this deck are probably other Chewbacca and Redemption. And then between other Chewbacca and Redemption, you've got more damage. You've got more healing off your base. Like you just reset the game, late game, kind of like a Chirrut deck does if things go really late, or like a Luke deck does if things go really late. And then there's just too much Sentinel to chew through on ground. The one thing Wookiees are weak at will be, you'll have to build around is going to be space. Because they obviously don't have any space, but they're color coded right for getting your Millennium Falcons in there, your gunships. There's a lot of interesting stuff they can take, but there's nothing that plays off them well in space yet. But there might still be stuff because we know that Wookiees did have access to like starfighters. There's going to be some kind of thing down the road. We just don't know it yet. But right now, the Wookiee deck is like super ground heavy, but man, it does so much work on ground right now.
Which is actually perfect for me. Number one, the first deck I ever played of Star Wars Unlimited, the first leader I played with was Chewie. And I soon realized, I'm not equipped to do super well with this deck yet. And because I just got just slaughtered, for a minute. And granted, part of it was just like getting to know the cards and stuff. I didn't have any of that yet, but also just it's undermanned, right? There's just not enough there. And here, seeing it kind of come full circle, it's fantastic. But also, I tend to skew heavy ground anyway. I have one deck that really specializes in space. But outside of that, a lot of mine are the space ones are just there for a key card here and there for the effect that it can have on a ground unit, or the effect that a lot of the ones for the the Empire, like a lot of the Imperial stuff where like it gives tokens and things like that. Like those bonuses I use a ton, but they're always to affect the ground. They're rarely ever, even like
Yeah.
oh my god, the 6 that gives like Sentinel to anyone right on the board. I'm blanking on the name of it.
Oh,
But
the
like
gladiator, the
yes.
green.
So
Yeah, the
like
gladiator.
that shit, I always almost have it specify a ground unit as Sentinel as opposed to it, right? Because I tend to be not as heavy
Yeah.
into space.
And honestly, you can get away with it. Like if you're playing, this deck is clearly supposed to be played blue yellow, and so at that point you probably run a few system patrol craft. You might run a gunship. You probably run Millennium Falcon just because Falcon's so good.
It's
and besides that,
stuff,
do you really need much of it? I mean, you throw in
Right.
redemption late game. You throw a late game redemption in just to maybe 2, just to pull damage off your base and to be another, space sentinel. Actually, even if you don't pull damage, now you have like multiple space. Yeah, it's just a sentinel control deck has always been something people wanted to play, and there just wasn't quite enough pieces there to make it work. But with Wookiees, we'll get to see that, and in colors that are typically control colors. Because you'll still,
Yeah.
I mean, this deck will be playing Waylays. This deck will be playing,
Yeah.
maybe even Bamboozle will finally get some love.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of
I do love
interesting things you
Bamboozle.
can do with this deck. The only thing it doesn't have for yellow is it's no good to me dead, because you probably don't want to pay 4. Well, yeah, 4 out of color is a little rough, but maybe you still do. Maybe it's just that good. But Sparks of Rebellion, you're pulling cards out of the hand. You're making them make terrible choices to let the Wookiee win. Like, this deck has all the potential to be really good, and I cannot wait to play it.
Yeah, I am stoked that we're really, and that was one of the things that we even talked about in our review about this second set. It was going to fill in a lot of gaps. We've already we were kind of looking at like Hera and Spectre units as one that kind of needs that, some other decks that really need that filled out. And Wookiees was one that, everyone was like, we hope we actually get some support. Cause like there was a leader for it and everything. It was built in and you just didn't see it. And here with the synergy across the board, like it's awesome. You can literally build a like actual successful, like powerful deck and you're not feeling it like you're going undermanned.
I just did the math. If you, not including your leader, you can have 18 Wookiees in this deck.
That's amazing.
Because you've got the new Chewbacca, 3 of him, 3 of yellow Chewbacca, and then so that's 6, and then the 12 of 3 of the other 4 of the Tree Chinder, the Fugitive Wookiee, the Wookiee Warrior, and Tarful. So yeah, you can have an 18 Wookiee deck plus Chewbacca, and so that means on average by turn 2, you should have a Wookiee in place to trigger the worst case scenario on Let the Wookiee Win. Like it's a fully viable deck at that point. Like I don't know where it will wind up in the meta, because I don't know if that means you have to, that might even be too many units if you're trying to run a lot of control. But I love that you have that option now and you didn't before.
Yeah. And also too, it's nice. Some of these cards, especially like, Fugitive, and especially like our favorite of the bunch, Let the Wookiee Win. I faced, so I used at one point, the only time I was really using Chewbacca was at one point early on in my Leia green, because I have a green yellow, and that's how I roll her, right? Because I like to use all of the fun Bamboozle and like I have
a Leia green yellow deck right now.
It's so fun. I just love it, and it's so versatile. But like Chewbacca, I had in there because I almost felt like I just wanted to have Chewbacca in there, right? And I was like, it never came in to use like I wanted him to, and he was too high cost for when I needed him. So I was like, okay, I'll just get rid of this. And so now with some of these other ones, I'm actually looking at other decks that I have and going, oh man, like what can I combine that with? That'll be fun. I'll probably put Let the Wookiee Win in there, period. And now I can maybe fit him in, because like if he's in my deck, and if he's on the board and I can give a +2, to one of the other ones, I mean, all of a sudden Fugitive's 5, right? What is Fugitive 3/3?
Fugitive 3.
So automatically with that bonus, that's a 5, right? At the cost is crazy. So it makes sense to start implementing them in other.
I was just thinking, actually, even I might put Let the Wookiee Win into my Leia deck, my Leia green yellow, regardless, because given her action economy of like the double attack, standing a unit is really good, because you can basically get back the action you took to stand it when you double attack the next time you use your action. So that's basically free damage, even if you don't have a Wookiee. And I probably would put Fugitive Wookiee into her deck as another 2-cost. Or well, no, it's not a rebel, so I wouldn't do that. But
it's not a rebel, and so you'd have to like I might put like one. You know what I mean? Just
I probably
have it in case.
But honestly, that card is still. I'd probably, at the very least, I'd consider sideboarding it, and like maybe depending on the matchup, I might swap out like a Spark of Rebellion for it here or there. But yeah, But I just love that we're seeing Chewbacca also, I believe, the first character to get 3 versions of himself. He's got a leader and 2 unit versions currently.
Man,
which I believe makes him the first. Because there's only one Vader unit, there's only one Palpatine unit, and we haven't seen a new Luke, we haven't seen a new Leia yet.
No.
But you got to expect those are coming at some point. But yeah, so Chewbacca becomes the first triple header threat, the first triple threat in Star Wars Unlimited with this new card.
Yeah. Also, I gotta say, just on the artwork side, I love the artwork on that card.
Artwork in set 2 has been demonstrably better than set 1. I feel like they realized that some of the art in Spark of Rebellion was a little goofy. I'm not staring directly at Han, but I am staring directly at every single Han Solo card. And I think they've gotten because that's solid artwork. That's pretty solid. And then if you look at the other Wookiees, Tarful looks good.
I love that one.
Wookiee Warrior is stylized, but it works. Fugitive Wookiee looks good. Tree Tender looks a little basic, but it's stylized. It's fine, but they basically
it fits in
their game
with everything else. But yeah, that one that's that's poster worthy. That looks great.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. We'll have definitely more. The set is right around the corner, not too far now. So we'll be actually playing with these cards, sooner than later. And anything else you want to add on these reveals, and also just what you've seen on Shadows so far?
So far, Shadows looks amazing. There are so many leaders. I'm excited. I think earlier today we saw a really weird but interesting, and one of my favorite characters, Finn. God, my boy. Nice. They did my boy so dirty in the last 2 movies, but Finn was such a great character. His new leader is really interesting. He kills friendly upgrades to replace them with shields, which there's a time and a place where that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And if you have, there's another one that I think if you have enough stuff in your discard pile, you'll get a +3 on attack, which is interesting. There's so many cool and interesting leaders. Even Kylo's got some weird synergy with his infiltrator ship. There's all these leaders seem well thought out. Kira still seems like she might be slightly broken. She might be the ECL of this set, but it might be too soon to say. But everything looks good. I love that it's all stuff going, and there's so many new themes coming out. We've got Wookiee decks now. You can run a Mandalorian deck now. A lot of decks that didn't see love before, a lot of leaders that didn't see love before suddenly have options. I think you could probably play IG 88 now.
Yeah,
I think you'd play it because there's going to be so much more raid stuff. I think there's a lot of possibilities, and Fantasy Flight has said that they're going to try and produce more of this set than they did for the set 1. So, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's my big hope is that it looks like the game is headed to a really good place, and it's already started pretty strong. So I'm just excited to keep playing.
Yeah, same here. I am, the starter set is another, I was impressed by.
Oh yeah, the Moff and Mando starter set looks great.
Yeah. It's another one good. The other one is so evergreen, and it's held up so well amongst all the other leaders in that first set. And I still see people on a regular basis playing Luke, playing Darth.
Luke and Vader have won 2 of the last 4 huge events. The starter leaders are amazing. Yeah.
It's rare that you get that kind of mix of where they're so they've grown with the game and people are still learning new strategies with them. So there's the depth there, but also they're so approachable and they teach so many different mechanics of the game for new players. So I expect the same, from Mando and Moff and their abilities and stuff, and the way they stack looks really, I feel like that's another win right out of the ballpark there. And so, as long as we can keep the production there and keep supply, This is, sky's the limit, man.
Hey, and maybe when the starter deck does come out, or Fantasy Flight sends us some early access, maybe we'll do we'll preview it out. We'll do a starter deck stream with Karabast, and we'll kind of like show off the new decks, see how they work. But that's in a couple weeks here. We're looking at like early mid-July. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, until next check-in for Star Wars, we hope you've enjoyed this. You can find out all of our coverage on Star Wars Unlimited right here on Comic Book Nation's YouTube page, as well as comicbook.com. And we're going to have plenty of coverage leading into the new set. So until next time, peace.